What if I think my favorite band's new album is mid? Wow, okay, I'm finally doing this. It has been 3 weeks since A Pale White Dot came out, and I think it's been like 2 months since Mr. God came out, and I haven't listened to any of it. I have been intentionally avoiding all of A Pale White Dot so that way I could make this reaction video. That's been the plan. And so I'm finally sitting down to do it today. For those who are new here, I'm Kayleen Barber, and I do covers of progressive metal songs, and most of the covers I do are Periphery songs. I actually have a goal to cover every Periphery song, and so when this album came out, I was like, sweet, more items on my to-do list. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know your favorite song off this album, and also let me know what is your top pick for me to cover. Which song from this album are you most excited for me to cover? So let me know. I want to hear from you. Let's get started. Let's watch this ad together. No, I'm gonna cut the ads.
All the noises are distorting. I wanna tear out of my skin, sick from a never-ending season. No medication for a voice of reason. This obsession, all consuming and so deafening. I catch myself closing the curtain. Some days I dream about the sunlight, but then I wake inside a boundless nightmare. By myself, I'm beside myself. I'm beside myself. Close my eyes to see the crisis for today. Away from nothing more guided my side. The crisis for today. Now it's all all this dead I say crack the shell of my decay. Hearing a loop stuck on replay. Accelerate to nowhere. Wreckage for certain. Closing the curtain. Crack the shell of my decay. Hearing a loop stuck on replay. Accelerate to nowhere. Wreckage for certain. Closing the curtain of my state.
Wow, okay. So I remember hearing that everything on this album is shorter. So that was a bold way to start an album for this band because it had so many of those soft synthy elements and sections. However, I do feel like the blast beats may compensate for it, but I couldn't help but notice the lack of overall djent. But You know, I really enjoyed this. I'm sure that you could see when it got to that bridge, I had this huge smile on my face. I was obsessed with oh my god, the song's called Obsession. I was obsessed with Spencer's vocal during that bridge because it just sounded so fun to sing. As primarily a cover artist, it's going to be really hard for me to not look at this through a lens of, oh, this will be so fun to cover, because that's basically what I'm thinking as I'm listening to these. But yeah. So I did send a message to my Discord server while I was starting that, because they've been asking me when I'm going to finally listen to A Pale White Dot and do this reaction video that I've been talking about. And yeah, it's long overdue, but I just had to let them know. So if you are not yet in my Discord community, there's going to be a link below in the description if you would like to join. We like to hang out and send silly memes and look at pictures of cute animals, so it's a fun time. It's also the best way to get notified when I post new covers, which, you know, lately I haven't been posting as much, but I have so much that's being worked on in the background that you guys don't really get to hear about. So anyway, wow, that was cool. I'm so excited to listen to the next one. where the gent went. They just decided to save it all for track 2. Now I can talk about it, now that the ad's gone. Okay, so, wow. Right from the start, I loved that one because it began with a genty riff, and you know how I feel about gent. It is, like, almost mandatory. I need gent and clean vocals. That is, like, the recipe for happiness. Okay, what I particularly loved about that song is that they somehow managed to, in the course of 5.5 minutes, I believe, or 5 minutes, they managed to make a radio-friendly song that also hit, like, all of the itches that I have when I want Periphery, because it had those, like, genty technical riffs, it had this, like, super fast, crazy guitar solo, and it also had Spencer doing this weird-ass melody during some bridge. It was very reminiscent of Blood Eagle, in fact. I've already forgotten the words and the melody, but I just know it went like... I'm sitting here editing and wanted to sing this melody properly. It's easy to talk and walk away. Oh, beautiful. Like, it kind of went up like a half step. Wow, that was so cool. I'm stoked that I get to listen to this on repeat now. The whole album all the way through. What's also interesting about listening to this is... this is my first time experiencing a new Periphery album, like, that was just released. Because when they released P5, I was new to the band entirely. I hadn't really heard any Periphery before I listened to P5, so I was, like, listening to gent is not a genre, and also listening to all of the old stuff at the same time, so I never really experienced, like, the linear evolution of Periphery over time. But listening to this, it's like, whoa, this is a culmination of everything they've ever done, and now they're trying to make it a little more radio friendly, but I don't feel, like, dissatisfied with it at the same time. Like, it's almost just, like, a little easier for me to latch onto, but it still has enough of that familiarity that I really enjoy it. So, I'm also trying not to force myself to be overly positive. I've heard mixed reviews on this album, ranging from, oh my god, I love it, to, it's mid. So, you know, I'm not trying to be overly positive, but my genuine reaction, listening to this for the first time, is overwhelmingly positive. Alright, what is next on the list? What is the next track? Oh, Mr. God, the one that everyone's been telling me to listen to for 2 months. That was a blast. So I don't know if there is a lyric video for that one, but I didn't really catch any lyrics. I heard that the lyrics on this one were fantastic. So something about me, for those who might not know, is I really struggle to interpret and like fully understand lyrics on my first few listens of a song. It usually takes me a little while before it like hits me. Sometimes it will take years and I'll be like, whoa, that's what that lyric means. So most of my analysis is gonna be on the music side. My first impression of this song is, damn, that's heavy. I really enjoyed the guitar tones, those like warm, beautiful gent tones, and Matt Halpern doing his thing on the drums. I don't know like technical drum terms, but I've had to force myself to pay attention to ghost notes a lot recently, and so I just enjoyed the vibes of that entirely, even if I didn't really know what was going on. Yeah, that was great. Cool. It was heavy. Although I've heard there's an even heavier one on here later down on this track list. All right, let's move on to Heaven on High. one's definitely my favorite so far. Holy shit. When the track list for this song was first released a few months ago, I don't remember exactly when, I remember seeing Heaven on High, and it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. Now, I'm sure some people on Reddit or on other communities already pointed this out, but I discovered this organically. All I had to do was look at the track list, and I was like, it's right there. These guys meme so much. They meme so much to me. Yes, I think I'm very funny. I loved this from the second it started because of the chord progression. It just makes me so happy whenever a song goes from la to fa. Those who get it, get it. The melody was beautiful. I was just listening to it like, I can't wait to sing this. And then I was thinking, like, this is such a beautiful, like, technical ballad because it's overall soft for a Periphery song. It had those really, like, I don't know if it was tapping or what it was on the guitar, but I really enjoyed the overall soundscape. And then suddenly the heavy part hit, and I was like, there it is. And then the smile appeared on my face. I already loved the song, but that's what sold it for me when it transitioned. And then it happened again because they brought the chorus back, which made me super happy. Don't get me wrong, I love when Periphery does atypical forms. I do, because it makes me just like want to listen to the song again, to listen to whatever chorus part it was that they only did once. But man, that was satisfying when they brought the chorus back again. I feel like when you're doing a shorter song, it's just the polite thing to do to bring the chorus back, you know? Although I will say, like, even though I'm like 4 songs in, I do miss having like a long epic Periphery song, but they are harder to digest. So, you know, this reaction video would be going much more poorly if they did have a super long song on it. I'm sure I had more things to say about that, but I was just overall really, really happy to listen to that one. That's my favorite so far, for sure. All right, next up we have Unlocking.
It's been a long time in the chain, so I'm unlocking myself, tired of trying to run away, so I'm unlocking myself. Thoughts are like the waves, crash and bring the overflow, and I can't help myself. It's like existing on the ocean floor, light above, face down, leagues below. You know now, nothing seems to be how we're really treated. It's been on for a long time, the leaves just
Wow, that was beautiful. I feel like they unlocked something when they wrote that song. And I'll clarify. I was listening to it and I was like, this is pretty. Like, this is nice. Just like chill vibes. And then that verse 2 hit. And right up until that point, I was thinking like, gee, this sure sounds like a lot of just like simple chugs and then like a complicated lead on top of it. But something that I hadn't really heard a lot of yet on this album is like riffs that have their own shape. And then suddenly that verse 2 hit and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted at the exact moment that I was thinking about it. And I just thought it was so crazy. It was almost like as I was listening to this song, they were reading my mind, which was just such a strange experience. But I really enjoyed this one. It was really beautiful. And I would still say I wasn't trying to make a tier list while listening to this. Heaven on High is definitely still my favorite one that I've listened to so far, but this one's definitely a close second, and I have to say it's because of the lyrics. Even though I tend to have trouble understanding lyrics, I really found this chorus to be powerful. There was something about spitting in the face of the beast and unlocking yourself. Well, that's the point of the song. This really struck a chord with me. Subhuman. This has Will Ramos. Was fun. I'm not super great at distinguishing between different vocalists. However, I'm very familiar with Spencer's screams at this point because I've listened to them isolated so much. So I'm pretty certain that Will was at the very least on there starting from the breakdown. Now, anything before that, I'm not really sure. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the tones I was hearing. I am not very good at picking up structure when it comes to songs like this, so all I can really say is sounds sick, and I enjoyed it. There's not a single song on this album so far that I would skip while listening to it. So, yeah, that was a blast. I'm having a blast right now. Okay. I'm calling it, this is the silhouette of this album. This is the song everyone's gonna complain about and say that they don't like it because it's not heavy enough or whatever, or it's not technical enough. But man, I gotta say, something that I personally think Periphery is amazing at is harmonically making it impossible to predict where the fuck they're gonna go. There was this whole stretch in the middle where it was instrumental, synths and piano, and I was just like, where are they going with this? Like, they had this chord that I believe it had some kind of suspension in it, and I kept thinking it was going to resolve down into this dominant chord, but then it ended up changing key instead. So I was intrigued by it because they were doing complex things harmonically. So even when it's missing the gent, just trust me, guys. Like, they're still doing shit. It's still Periphery. I really liked that. That was cool. I know those of you who tune into my live streams probably know. No, I haven't had a live stream in over a month, but this is exactly the kind of Periphery song that I would choose to do an a cappella cover of, so who knows? Maybe I'll do that this year. Maybe not. Anyway, yeah, nice chill little palette cleanser for like halfway through the album. Next up is Malevolent. I think this might be the first one I feel a little conflicted on. I really enjoyed that opening riff. Now, these are all starting to kind of blend together for me because that was track 8. I started to question it a little bit when I believe it was... As of where the floorboards just the chords that goes over, that was an odd choice in melody. However, it might be one of those things that just takes some time to grow on me, because the first time I heard Wildfire, I thought that melody for the chorus was really weird. The past is cutting through me, and all the imperfections they show. Heartbeat haunts me. I thought that was so weird the first time I heard it. I have a similar feeling about this song. It just might take a few listens to grow on me. The chasm where the floorboards used to be. I don't know. It's not sitting quite right with me, but what ended up winning me over was that, I don't know, maybe it's technically the verse, but it sounded a lot more like the chorus. It just had such cool chord choices, and I love the way that the melody meshed with it. So yeah, I really enjoyed the bridge. Okay, next up is Carry On. Yeah. There's other song references that pop into my head when I hear this song title, but I'm not going to sing them because I only want Periphery to copyright claim this video. Speaking of, every single video I do gets copyright claimed, so if you would like to help out my channel, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and like the video, and maybe join my Discord server. It would really help me out a lot. Something different about me is I'm not trying to sell you anything. I know that like nowadays there's a million people who are trying to sell you like a course or something. I don't have any of that shit. The most that I do is try to get people to watch my live stream where I give free vocal production advice. So come hang out. We have a good time. Let's carry on with the reaction video.
Life in slow motion under the sheets, and I saw you carry on, holding your full weight, buckling knees, but I saw you carry on. Stay in the line, stay in the line, or you'll find oblivion. The better thoughts will let you in, for your answers are medicine. A masochist who won't let go, and find yourself in the earth below. Please sit down. These walls are not your face, they're not your face. Once you out until the moment when you don't fit in. Lack of emotion, pulling the strings. Believe me, I see everything. Maybe it's better for life to leave your heart, but I've seen you carry on. If you just stay in line.
Um, I heard, like, the first few lines, and I was like, under the sheets? You mean, like, underneath the sheets, beneath the skin, there's a beauty waiting to be adored. We all know what Catch Fire is about, right? We do know. I feel like this song is, like, the opposite of Catch Fire. I mean, I could be misinterpreting this. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. This is about to be the most embarrassing tangent I've ever made in a video. But I feel like if Catch Fire is about fun, this song is about, like, the opposite of that. It's, like, kind of sad. The vibe I got from this was, like, detached and sad. Yeah. But at the same time, every time I heard the word under the sheets, I couldn't help but be like, is this what I think it's about? But if it's a metaphor for something and I'm completely misreading this, like, someone please correct me. I'm not great at, like, lyrical analysis. It's not really my thing. You know, maybe in 3 months I'll listen to this song again and be like, oh, so that's what it's about. It wasn't about what I thought it was upon first impression. Anyway, let's move on. I don't really have any comments on the music for that one. I mean, it was pretty. It was pretty. Maybe if I ignored the lyrics, then I would have more to say about the music itself. But here we go. We found a song where the first thing I paid attention to was the lyrics and not the music. Alrighty, Neon Valley.
Of the trees, ocean and breeze, raised in a rusting belief, like rotting leaves, a friend of disease. Smoke projects the vision, colors hypnotize, free of possession, material oppression, with glimpses of a prophet in disguise. Follow the path of stars, winding road miles away. The heavens are living, melting away from memories on the way home. Screaming, save me, in a world so bleak, you've discarded me now. Taking safety, consecrate beliefs to the heresy. Take me to the heresy. Take me. Eyes wide, a gorgeous facade. Behold the charm of God. Bathed in a hollow embrace, a brand new face, just to belong. Follow with no regard, signing a life away. The warmth of the heaven fades, stripping away the dignity not to be alone. Screaming.
There's probably, okay, I think there's a couple things going on in my brain at the moment. The first one is I have listened to so many songs, so many new songs in a row, that they are all kind of starting to blend together a little bit, and I'm having trouble picking out distinct things about each song. But overall, I felt like this was a more radio-friendly song that was made to be not super exciting. I might get in trouble for saying that. I thought it was decent. I wasn't like wowed by it. I'm sure you could see my facial expression. I just kind of like zoned out for most of it, but you know, I didn't think it was bad by any means. I'm digging myself into a hole here. I should just stop. Quit while I'm ahead. Yeah. I would be curious to see which ones of these were their singles. 'Cause to me, that song sounded like a safe radio-friendly single, but I don't know, like it didn't seem like any risks were taken, basically. And I guess not every song is about taking risks, but Periphery often is. But if I had to make a list of my favorite songs on this album in order, I'd probably put this one at the bottom. Again, not because it's bad, just I think it's my least favorite I've heard so far. And that's okay. No matter what, there's always gonna be something at the bottom of that list, you know? But there are, like, 12 songs on this album, so that's a lot. Okay. I guess a few things I could say about it. I did think it was interesting how Spencer was switching between like a scream and then singing. And in the way that he did that, it kind of, the way that I interpreted it was he was like hopping out of a high note, which is like, I know that he can sing high notes, but like that kind of thing. It was like, dude, I would have preferred to just hear you sing the note, you know? Not every song has to be a statement, you know? It's okay to have a song or two that's like this. Nothing wrong with it. It's not usually the case with Periphery. Like, pretty much every Periphery song I listen to, I'm like, oh, that's such a good song. But the way that this usually works is I listen to it more and then it grows on me. So, you know, I guarantee you in like 3 months, I'm going to be like, I love Neon Valley. All right, let's move on. Next up is Everyone Dies Alone. I only have 2 songs left. Everyone Dies Alone. This is a very, very sad song name. There are quite a few songs in this album where I was kind of getting like vibes of sadness.
Seems to come to this, the end of joyful ignorance. Drop everything that I have and go. Half asleep behind the wheel, not sure what I'm supposed to feel. Still holding on to the life we know. Give me all your pain, your hate, your fear of where you lay. My never-ending rage is gonna take it all away. Give me your hand, I'll hold it while I can. Experiencing something I will never understand. Heart stops beating, the heart stops. The heart stops beating, a love so fleeting. We're leaving them on the road, leaving them on for the tears and grieving. The world keeps breathing, but everyone dies alone. Everyone dies alone. Grappling with reality, past memories are leaving.
talk about the song itself, let me talk about the video first. Okay, first of all, that water effect on the ground was super cool, and I don't know how they weren't freaking out about, like, it getting all over the drum kit. Everything else was probably far enough away. But second thing, maybe this is just because I don't spend a lot of time staring at guitars, but, like, when I was watching, I think it was Misha playing the guitar solo, I was looking at the guitar, and some of those low strings legit looked like bass strings. And so, you know, this is what Gent has come to at this point. The guitars basically look like bass guitars and sound like them. I thoroughly enjoyed that song. That's definitely in my top 3 for this whole album. Probably, you know, number 3 in the list. I'd have to re-listen all the way through again to do like a proper tier list. But yeah, that had absolutely everything in it that I could possibly want in a Periphery song. So, you know, I was pretty pleased with it. I really enjoyed the melody. It was beautiful. I loved the riffs. It gave me like the tingles in my brain. So I was very happy. I'm also looking at the play counts right now on a popular streaming platform that everyone hates. And this one has over a million streams on there. And it's no surprise to me. I'm trying not to let, like, confirmation bias impact what I say or impact, like, how I feel about the song. I was genuinely liking the song before I looked over and saw. So I think this is one of the more popular ones off this album. Yeah. So it's only second to Mr. God, it seems. So, yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. Was this a single? This one might have been a single. I wasn't paying attention when they were releasing singles. I was intentionally avoiding it so that way I could do a proper, genuine reaction to everything. But yeah, this is one of those songs where I listen to it and I'm like, I can't wait to cover it. You know? So, okay, I have one more song left to listen to, and before we do that, I have a couple things that I want to mention. So, first of all, I need to let you guys know I did my makeup special for this video. I'm sure my, like, 99% male audience is super interested in this topic, but if you'll notice, I placed a pale white dot in the inner corners of my eyes, and they've probably been catching some light throughout the video. I would have placed a third dot somewhere to do, like, the whole, like, 3-dot thing, but I wasn't sure where I should put it. There wasn't a logical place for that, so it didn't happen. Anyway, all that silliness aside, leave me a comment and let me know, again, your favorite song off this album, which one you're most excited to hear me cover. And also, I'd like to know, do you want me to do a tier list? Would anyone be interested in that and hearing my opinion on tier lists? Not just for this album, but other Periphery albums? Let me know. Be as descriptive as possible. I like description. I like very descriptive comments. They make my day. So let's get to this last song. Official Visualizer. Oh, it's a lyric video. Okay, so joke's on me. There's no lyrics. I don't know why. I saw in the video thumbnail, it looked like there were lyrics, but it might have been because it was part of a playlist or something. I don't know. It looked like there would be words. But that was beautiful. Yeah. I remember when the track list was released, there were people discussing the fact that there was a title track on this album. I must say, now that I've listened to it, I understand why it has significantly fewer streams than some of the other songs off of this album. It's not because it isn't great, it's beautiful. It's just simply, it's an outro. It has a functional role in an album, and it was beautiful and technical, and I enjoyed it, despite the video buffering a ton. But, yeah, I don't have a ton to say about that one. Wow, I am so glad I finally listened to that. Now I get to just enjoy it in the car whenever I'm driving anywhere. So that's awesome. This was fantastic. There's not a single skippable song on this album. I really enjoyed it. So I was worried. I was actually worried after hearing some opinions that I read about it being mid. I was worried, like, what if I think my favorite band's new album is mid? And I'm so relieved that that's not the case. I really loved that. So I'm sitting here finishing up edits before I post this video tomorrow, and I wanted to just add a few comments from discussions in my Discord server. I had asked the guys in my server if it would be okay if I read some of their comments out loud in my reaction video, and they said yes. I want to first read a comment from my friend Daniel, who's also one of my moderators, Guilty Porcupine. He said, I've got a lot to say about the album, but the TLDR is that I'm a big fan. I don't think any of the individual songs on this album will be on my list of favorite Periphery songs, but the album as a whole will definitely be on my list of favorite albums. And I really wanted to start with this one because I completely agree with that last paragraph. Like, for me personally, I don't think any of these songs are going to be like, oh yeah, this is my favorite song ever, or like, this is my favorite Periphery song. But I really did enjoy a lot of the songs on this album, and I really enjoyed this album overall. However, I did find for me that this album was missing the very thing that made me love Periphery in the first place, which is just that, like, ridiculous abundance of, I don't know what to call it besides wankery, just like showing off through the music. It didn't have the longer songs such as, you know, Reptile or Dracul Gra or Thanks Nabuo or Wax Wings. Like, there was nothing exceeded 5.5 minutes, you know, and I really love when they do one of those longer epic songs. However, I don't think that that's what this album was supposed to be. I think that what they delivered here is what it was meant to be. And there's a reason that this album isn't called Periphery 6. My friend Yuri, who is also a moderator for me, said this: after 2 full listens, I can definitely say I like it, but Malevolent was the only song that made me go, wow. Everything else ranges from solid to great. But it's the least Periphery album out of their whole discography. I feel like a lot of people have some itch left unscratched. I agree with half this comment because Malevolent was one of the ones that had me scratching my head a bit, and it still does, to be honest. But I did feel overall the songs were like hyper condensed versions of songs that could otherwise be like longer epic Periphery songs. Oh man, I think that's what it is. They could have done more with these ideas than what they did. Again, not that it's wrong, it's just, you know, they could have done more. They could have fleshed these out into standard Periphery songs that are like 8 minutes long. And my friend and collaborator, Zach, he is known as Zickety Zach OTA. He left this very long comment. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to read parts of it. My thoughts on the album. The theme of the album is loneliness, and all of the lyrics prove that very well. Although it's not a concept album, it is a theme album.
And I knew what to expect ever since reading the listening party Reddit post in the subreddit. But before that, I saw the track list and noticed all the songs were shorter than normal. And I was like, oh, this is going to be not only a short album, but a different album for once. I know for me, like, I picked up on it as it unfolded that a lot of the songs did have this, not just undertone, but it had an overtone of sadness. And I think loneliness was the word that I was looking for, but I couldn't find while I was actually listening to it. What I really liked about Zach's comment here is the notice that it's not a concept album and that it's not supposed to be. Like, in a sense that Periphery's self-titled albums they're not technically concept albums because they're not tied together with a concept, but I would say that the concept is like intentionally being musically verbose, which is what I love about their music so much. What I liked about Zach's comment is that it made something click for me, and I realized, like, obviously this album is not Periphery 6, and that's not what it was supposed to be anyway. All of this to say, me reading these comments and me kind of doing this summary now in post is basically, this album is not P6, but it was never supposed to be P6.
For those who've made it to the end of this video, thank you for hanging out with me while I experience a pale white dot for the very first time. I appreciate you for being here. I've had a great time. Please say hi in the comments. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.